When life breaks you, it doesn't whisper, it doesn't knock politely, it crashes in. It leaves you gasping, questioning, doubting whether you'll ever be whole again. You sit there with pieces of yourself scattered across the floor, wondering if this is the moment that finally destroys you. But I need you to listen closely right now. Being broken does not mean being finished. Brokenness is not your ending. It's the loud, unshakable reminder that you are still alive, still fighting, still capable of rising again with more strength, more depth, and more courage than you ever imagined. You see, when life breaks you, it's tempting to believe the lie that you've been abandoned, that you've been left behind, that maybe you weren't strong enough to deserve happiness. But the truth is, even in your shattered state, you are being shaped. Those cracks in your soul are not proof of weakness. They are the openings where light can enter, where healing can flow, where resilience is born. Life doesn't break you to destroy you. Life breaks you to remake you. I know the nights when you've cried so hard you couldn't breathe. I know the mornings when you've stared at the ceiling, feeling like the weight pressing down on your chest was too heavy to bear. But let me tell you something powerful. Survival itself is proof of your strength. Every scar you carry, every tear you've shed, every wound you thought would never close, it's all evidence that you did not give up. You didn't quit. You're here. And being here means you are not done. When life breaks you, it tries to convince you that your value has been reduced, that you are somehow less than what you once were. But think about this. Some of the most valuable things on earth are broken first. Diamonds are formed by pressure. Gold is purified by fire. Even seeds must break open in the dark before they can grow into something magnificent. Why would your story be any different? If life is breaking you, maybe it's because something greater is trying to grow out of you. People will tell you to stay strong, but strength doesn't always look like smiling through pain. Strength sometimes looks like admitting you're not okay, but choosing to move forward anyway. Strength looks like dragging yourself out of bed when your heart feels heavy. Strength looks like forgiving when it would be easier to stay bitter. Strength looks like standing again even when your knees are trembling. And when life breaks you, don't be afraid of the silence, because it's often in the silence that transformation takes place. Silence is where you hear your truest self whisper, "Get back up." Silence is where God's voice becomes clearer, guiding you through the storm, reminding you that He has not abandoned you. Your brokenness does not scare God. Your tears do not push Him away. If anything, they draw Him closer, because He knows what you are capable of becoming even when you cannot see it yet. The world will try to define you by what has broken you. Failed relationships, betrayal, loss, mistakes, disappointments. But you are not defined by what broke you. You are defined by what you chose to become in the aftermath. Did you let the pain harden you, or did you allow it to deepen you? Did you let the storm drown you? Or did you learn how to breathe underwater until you could swim to shore? Every time you choose to rise, even when you're broken, you send a message to the world: I am unshakable. I may bend, I may crack, but I will not collapse. You don't have to wait until you're fully healed to keep living. You don't have to wait until you're whole again to shine. Sometimes the most powerful version of you is the one standing in the ruins, refusing to disappear. When life breaks you, people may walk away. Not everyone will know how to love you in your brokenness. Not everyone will have the patience to sit with you in the dark. And that hurts. It hurts deeply. But don't confuse their absence with your worth. Sometimes the breaking reveals who truly belongs in your story and who was only meant for a chapter. Don't beg for people who walked away. If they left during your breaking, they weren't meant to witness your rising. Listen to me carefully. The breaking will not last forever. It feels endless right now, but pain has an expiration date. Suffering is not permanent. There will come a moment when the tears stop flowing as heavily, when the weight on your chest starts to lift, when you look at the pieces of yourself and realize you can build something new, something stronger, something wiser. You don't have to rebuild yourself into who you were before, because who you were before was not meant to carry the future that's waiting for you. Every person you admire, every soul that inspires you, every hero you look up to, they all have one thing in common. They were broken too, but instead of staying down, they chose to rise, and their breaking became their testimony. Yours will too. You are not fragile glass that shatters beyond repair. You are unbreakable spirit wrapped in human form. Life can bruise you, cut you, and knock you down, but it cannot take away your fire unless you hand it over. And I know you won't, because deep down you've survived enough storms to know that this one, no matter how fierce, will not be your end. When life breaks you, it doesn't just test your patience, it shakes the very core of who you are. It makes you question your purpose, your direction, and sometimes even your worth. But here's the truth I need you to hold on to with every fiber of your being. You are not broken because you are weak. You are broken because you were chosen to carry strength that cannot be taught in comfort. Strength is forged in the fire, not in the sunshine. And if you are walking through fire right now, it's because life is molding you into someone who can withstand storms that would have destroyed the old you. You see, the breaking is not random. It's not meaningless. It's not a punishment. It is a process. And like all processes, it feels ugly while it's happening, but it carries beauty in the end. A seed cannot grow until its shell cracks. Gold cannot shine until it passes through flames. Mountains are not carved without pressure, and diamonds are not created without being broken from their original form. So why would you expect your journey to be any different? If you are being broken, it's because you are being reshaped for something far greater than you can see right now. But I know how heavy it feels. I know there are days when you can't even find the words to pray. I know there are nights when the silence is deafening and you wonder if anyone, even God, can hear your cries. Let me speak to your heart. God hears every unspoken thought. He counts every tear. Your pain is not invisible. And the very fact that you are still here, listening, breathing, trying, that is proof that you have not been abandoned. The breaking may feel like destruction, but in truth, it is divine reconstruction. When life breaks you, people will look at your cracks and try to define you by them. They'll say, "She's too damaged. He'll never recover." And in one sense, they're right. You'll never be the same, but that's not a curse. That's a gift. Because the person you are becoming is someone who cannot be shaken as easily, someone whose faith runs deeper, whose compassion stretches further, whose strength radiates brighter. You'll never be the same because you'll be greater than you ever imagined. You must stop seeing your breaking as your ending and start seeing it as your beginning. Life doesn't break you to bury you. It breaks you to plant you. And just like a seed, you may feel like you've been pushed into the dark, left in the dirt, forgotten. But what the world calls burial, God calls planting. And if you are planted, you will rise again. Not the same, not weaker, but taller, stronger, bearing fruit that your old self could never have carried. But you cannot rise if you stay bitter. You cannot grow if you keep clinging to the shards of who you used to be. There comes a moment when you must decide, will I keep staring at what I've lost, or will I start building with what I have left? Your healing begins when you release the illusion that life was supposed to go perfectly. Life was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to shape you. The breaking is part of that shaping. And I want you to know, brokenness doesn't mean unworthy. Brokenness doesn't mean you're disqualified. In fact, it's often the broken who carry the deepest wisdom, the most radiant light, the most authentic love. Why? Because when you've been shattered and rebuilt, you love deeper, you forgive easier, you understand pain in ways others cannot. And that understanding makes you powerful, it makes you unstoppable. When life breaks you, you learn truths that comfort can never teach. You learn that peace isn't found in having everything together. It's found in trusting even when everything is falling apart. You learn that joy isn't about what you have, it's about who you become. You learn that hope isn't the absence of pains, it's the presence of faith even in the darkest night. And listen, you don't have to pretend to be okay all the time. There is no shame in weeping, in questioning, in stumbling, but do not confuse falling with failing. You can fall 1,000 times, but as long as you rise one more time than you fall, you are undefeated. Your scars don't disqualify you, they qualify you. They tell the story of someone who refused to give up, someone who endured, someone who kept going when it would have been easier to stop. So, yes, when life breaks you, it hurts. It hurts in ways words can't describe. But pain has a purpose. It is not wasted. It is the tool that chisels away the old so the new can emerge. And every time you survive what was meant to destroy you, you gain a strength that cannot be stolen. You walk into rooms carrying an authority you didn't have before. People look at you and they don't even know why, but they sense it. You've been through fire and came out glowing. This is what the breaking does. It gives you depth. It gives you resilience. It gives you power. And one day, you will thank the very storm that tried to sink you, because it taught you how to swim in oceans you once feared. When life breaks you, the temptation is to believe you've lost something that can never return. But I tell you this with all the conviction in my soul. What is taken from you in the breaking is often what was never meant to carry you forward. Sometimes life strips you of illusions, attachments, and fragile identities, not to punish you, but to free you. And in that freedom, though it feels bitter at first, you discover the truth of who you are, the truth of what cannot be shaken, the truth of the spirit within you that was designed to endure every storm. You see, there is a lie whispered in pain. You are not enough anymore. But pain is a liar. Failure is a liar. Loss is a liar. You were enough before you were broken. You are enough while you are broken, and you will be enough after you are broken. Your worth is not determined by your scars. It is proven by them. Those scars are not evidence of defeat. They are evidence that you were wounded and still alive. They are proof that you walked through shadows and did not vanish. I want you to imagine this, a vessel shattered on the floor. At first glance, you see only brokenness, useless fragments scattered everywhere. But in the right hands, those fragments are gathered, sealed, and filled with gold until the cracks themselves become the most beautiful part. That's what your life is. The cracks are not your shame. They are the artwork of resilience. The places where you thought you were ruined will shine as the very places where you were remade. When life breaks you, the people around you will react in different ways. Some will pity you, some will judge you, some will leave you, and a rare few will sit beside you, hold your hand, and remind you of the light that still flickers within you. Treasure those people. But even if the world turns its back, understand this truth. Your story is not dependent on who stays or who leaves. Your story is written in a higher place, and no person's rejection can erase your destiny. I want to speak boldly to your spirit now. Stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? Because the moment you change that question, you shift from victim to victor. Why me traps you in despair, but what now propels you toward purpose? And your purpose is never buried in comfort. It is discovered in the ashes of your breaking. Do not let pain make you bitter. Bitterness is poison that disguises itself as protection. It promises to keep you safe from hurt, but in reality, it locks you inside a prison of your own making. Instead, let pain make you deeper. Let it make you softer, more compassionate, more courageous. Let it teach you to stand taller, not because life is easy, but because you now know you can endure what you once thought impossible. When life breaks you, there is a choice to make. Will I be crushed or will I be carved? One destroys you, the other transforms you. And transformation requires surrender. It requires saying, I don't understand this, I don't like this, but I trust that something greater is being formed in me. Trust doesn't erase pain, but it gives pain a purpose. And purpose is what turns suffering into strength. And don't you dare believe that brokenness makes you less lovable. In truth, it makes you more real. The strongest bonds in life are not formed through perfection. They are formed through vulnerability, through the courage to say, this is where I hurt, and I'm still here. When you live authentically through your breaking, you give others permission to heal through theirs. Your courage becomes contagious. Your honesty becomes hope. You may feel like life has shattered you into pieces too many to count. But let me tell you something powerful. You are not called to put the pieces back exactly as they were. You are called to build something new, something stronger, something wiser. You don't need to go back to who you were. That person cannot carry the weight of who you are becoming. The breaking is not about returning to the old. It's about giving birth to the new. There will be nights when you lie awake, replaying the past, wishing things had gone differently. And that's okay, but don't stay there. The past is a teacher, not a home. Visit it, learn from it, but do not chain yourself to it. Your future does not live in your memories. It lives in your choices today. And today you can choose to rise. Even if your rise is small, even if your rise is slow, even if your rise looks like a whisper instead of a roar, a rise is still a rise. When life breaks you, you might lose people you thought would never leave. You might lose opportunities you thought would never fade. You might lose dreams you thought were permanent. But hear me, what you lose is not greater than what you are about to gain. What walks away is not greater than what is about to walk in. What ends is not greater than what is about to begin. The breaking makes room for blessings you could not have carried in your old form. And remember this, pain is seasonal. It feels permanent when you're in it, but it is not. Just as winter always gives way to spring, your sorrow will give way to joy. Just as the darkest night eventually surrenders to dawn, your breaking will eventually give birth to renewal. You may not see it yet, but it is coming. You may not feel it yet, but it is moving. The very fact that you are still breathing is evidence that your story is still unfolding. Your spirit is bigger than what broke you. Your destiny is stronger than what wounded you. And your future is brighter than the darkness you're facing now. Do not give up. Do not surrender. Do not let the breaking define you as broken. Let it define you as unshakable, as resilient, as unstoppable. Because the truth is, when life breaks you, you are not being buried. You are being planted. And the soil that covers you is not your grave. It is the womb of your next chapter. When life breaks you, there will be moments when you wonder if you will ever feel whole again. You will look in the mirror and see someone you barely recognize, someone carrying weight that never used to be there, someone with eyes that tell stories of battles fought in silence. But I need you to understand something sacred. Wholeness does not mean returning to who you used to be. Wholeness means embracing the person you are becoming because of what you've endured. The breaking carves away the illusions that once held you hostage. It strips you of the masks you wore to please others, the false identities you clung to, the fragile pride that blinded you. And though the stripping feels cruel, it is in truth a gift, because when the unnecessary is torn away, what remains is real. What remains is unshakable. What remains is you, raw, authentic, powerful. You may feel like life has taken everything from you, but here is a truth that cannot be stolen. As long as you still have breath, you still have purpose. And purpose is not destroyed by pain. It is revealed through pain. Every crack in your soul is not a sign of failure, but an opening for light to pour through. You are not meant to hide your scars. You are meant to let them shine as proof that survival lives within you. When life breaks you, it awakens you to truths that comfort cannot teach. You begin to realize that happiness is not about everything going your way. It's about finding peace even when nothing makes sense. You realize that courage is not the absence of fear. It's choosing to move forward even when fear screams louder than hope. You realize that love is not about perfection. It's about choosing to stay present, even when brokenness threatens to push you into isolation. But listen carefully. Not everyone will understand your breaking. Some will look at you and think you are finished. Some will whisper that you'll never rise again. But what they cannot see is the fire within you, the unshakable spirit that refuses to stay down. They cannot see the quiet strength being built in the silence of your nights. They cannot see the unseen hands holding you together when you feel like falling apart. And that's why you cannot let the opinions of others define you. People may label you damaged, but what they don't understand is that damage can be divine. What they call broken is what makes you beautiful. What they call weakness is what makes you relatable. What they call failure is what makes you powerful. Their words cannot diminish what is being formed in you, because your worth was never dependent on their approval in the first place. The truth is, when life breaks you, you are being invited into transformation. Transformation never feels gentle. It feels like tearing, stretching, and remolding. But it is in this transformation that your greatest power emerges. The butterfly does not come to life without first being confined in the darkness of the cocoon. The phoenix does not rise until it has burned to ashes. And you too will not step into your fullest self without passing through the fire of breaking. Do not fear this process. Lean into it, cry when you must. Scream when you must, fall to your knees when you must, but never confuse breaking with ending. The two are not the same. Ending is final. Breaking is transitional. And if you are in transition, that means something greater is on the other side. There is a strength in you that has yet to be awakened. And often it is only awakened in the moments when everything else is stripped away. You learn how powerful you truly are not when everything is easy, but when everything feels impossible and yet you still rise. You discover your resilience not when the sun is shining, but when the storm rages, and you still take another step forward. And let me tell you, your rise does not have to be loud to be real. Sometimes rising looks like smiling again after months of sorrow. Sometimes rising looks like forgiving yourself for mistakes that once haunted you. Sometimes rising looks like choosing hope, even when despair seems easier. Sometimes rising is simply choosing to breathe again when your chest feels heavy. No step is too small if it moves you toward healing. When life breaks you, there is a sacred opportunity hidden in the ruins, the opportunity to rebuild, not as who you were, but as who you are meant to be. And in that rebuilding, you will discover that nothing you lost defines you. Your true identity cannot be broken. Your true spirit cannot be destroyed. What is eternal within you cannot be touched by pain, cannot be crushed by betrayal, cannot be erased by failure. You may think right now that you are too far gone, that the cracks run too deep, that the weight is too heavy, but you are not too far gone. You are on the edge of a breakthrough. You are not too broken. You are on the verge of becoming unshakable. You are not too lost. You are simply being rerouted to a destiny that pain could not destroy. The breaking does not define your ending. It defines your becoming. And one day, you will look back on this season and realize that what you thought was meant to destroy you was actually what set you free. You will see that the nights of weeping gave way to mornings of strength. You will see that the chapters of loss gave way to pages of redemption. You will see that every tear watered the soil for a future you never could have imagined. So hold on, even if it feels like holding on by a thread, hold on, because the breaking is not the finale of your story. It is the prologue to your greatest chapter yet.